Let's just say the obvious. People love The Mandalorian because of the father-son duo. Mando, the bounty hunter with a moral code. Grogu, the frog-eating baby Yoda. Simple, right? Mando is cool. Grogu is cute. That's what people came for, but that's not why people stayed. The Mandalorian isn't just another Star Wars spin-off. It's a story that taps into something deeper. And that something is not the Force. It's not the law, but us, the audience. This show resonates with us so much because it delivers something people are desperate for. Purpose, identity, and emotional clarity. We live in an era where franchise fatigue is real. Star Wars was literally on life support after the sequel trilogy. Divisive writing, inconsistent tone, and characters who felt like merchandise first, humans second. Then The Mandalorian dropped, and suddenly everything slowed down. No multiversal chaos, no galaxy-breaking revelations, just a man, a mission, and a child. It was simple, intimate, and sincere, and that's exactly why it hit. Because in a time where nothing feels certain, The Mandalorian gave us something that did. A bond, a purpose, a path. When The Mandalorian launched in 2019, expectations were pretty low. Disney Plus was still new, Star Wars fans were exhausted, and then came this quiet, slow-burning story that pulled everyone back in. It was a revival, yes, but also a reinvention. Season 1 played like a space western. Mando was the lone bounty hunter, Grogu a baby Yoda with a mysterious background. Each episode was like a mini story. Rescue the village, hijack a transport, fend off a beast, yeah, underneath, it was building something richer. A relationship. Mando, a bounty hunter with no ties, slowly starts to care, and Grogu, a force-sensitive toddler, slowly begins to trust. So let's look at just a few moments. Episode 1, Mando finds Grogu and hesitates to turn him in. And then in episode 3, he rescues Grogu from the Empire, betraying the guild. Episode 4, they find peace in a remote village, but he leaves again to protect Grogu. By episode 8, he accepts Grogu as his foundling, aka his child.
Be written in song that Din Djarin is accepting this foundling as his son. You are now Din Grogu, Mandalorian apprentice.
This is the way.
This formula is very simple. I would say deceptively simple. New planet, new challenge, same emotional arc. Then came season 2. The universe expanded. Bo-Katan ended, challenging what it meant to be Mandalorian. Ahsoka Tano revealed Grogu's name and his past. Boba Fett returned. And then Luke Skywalker appeared. Every piece was executed with restraint. It respected the past while telling something new. Compare that to the Book of Boba Fett, which tried to make a legend vulnerable and wound up erasing everything that made him mythic. Or Kenobi, which turned a galaxy-defining Jedi into a side character in its own story. The Mandalorian trusted its own rhythm. It didn't really scream at you. It just whispered and you listened. So let's dig into what really set The Mandalorian apart. It's not just the characters are likable, it's that they tap into what we wish we were and who we used to be. Grogu isn't just cute. He's basically the representation of our inner child. He represents wonder, fear, innocence, and dependency. He doesn't speak, but he watches. He feels and he reacts. He's curious, overwhelmed, and in danger, yet still hopeful. When we watch Grogu hide in his floating pod or reach out to Mando with those wide eyes, we see ourselves, our younger selves, our childhood, the part that still wants to be cared for, the part that remember what it was like to need someone. And then he started to grow. He tries to use the Force again. He remembered the flashes of Order 66. He's scared, but he still chooses. That moment when he tames the Rancor, or when he healed Mando, or when he stopped the flames, they are little victories against fear of growing up and protecting the future. That's what they were. Now flip that, Mando is who we wish we were. He's stoic, focused, grounded. He has a code, a mission, a sense of self. This is the way. It's more than a line. It's a psychological structure. It tells him what to do when everything else feels chaotic. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't explain himself. He acts. When he faces down Moff Gideon, when he challenges a corrupt magistrate, when he risks his life to protect a child that he barely knows, that's not stoicism. But here's where the brilliance happens. Even he breaks. In chapter 16, Mando defeats Moff Gideon and gets to Grogu. But then Luke Skywalker arrive, and for the first time, Mando removes his helmet by choice. He chooses to break his most sacred rule. He shows his face to Grogu, not for pride, but for connection. This man, who lived and breathed his creed, hesitated. He let love override the code. And later in Season 3, we do see him wrestle with the consequences. He must bathe in the waters of Mandalore to earn forgiveness. Yet even then, the foundation is already cracked. He meets Bo-Katan, who lives by a different set of belief. He watches the armorer change her stance, and for the first time, Mando starts to question, what even is the way? This is what we call identity breakdown. We're seeing a man learning that the world isn't just black and white, and neither is he. We see him go from a weapon to a father, from a follower to a thinker, from a soldier to a man. Now let's go back to Grogu. Grogu starts scared of his own powers. He flinches from his past. He hesitates to train with Ahsoka. And then in the book of Boba Fett, he's given the ultimate choice. Train with Luke as a Jedi or return to Mando. And he chooses Mando. I mean, at first it was like pretty sweet, right? But then it feels off. I mean, this is supposed to be like a coming of age story for Grogu, but instead he fucking goes back. He chooses to stay as a child, stay protected, stay cute, but growth means separation, and Disney wasn't ready to risk that. So Grogu stay in the pod, in the safe zone. What could have been the most powerful arc in Star Wars TV get fucking traded in for content milking. The Mandalorian might be the best Star Wars show, but it also became a prisoner of its own success. But when The Mandalorian started, it didn't feel like that. And then halfway throughout the story, they hit pause and decided to go for profit. Even in a galaxy far, far away, the laws of capitalism still win.